Hi there, this is Rich with Accu1 Direct. I'm going to show you, the end user, how to get started with your newly purchased Accu1 9300. First thing you're going to want to do is get proper extension cords to feed the machine power. Proper would be a 10 gauge cord to feed the machine, and a proper gauge cord for the blower motor would be 12. Once you plug it in at the panel, the green light will be on, indicating the machine has power. The voltage will also be on. You want to see 120 volts for this machine to operate properly. Anything below 110, you're going to want to try to find different circuits. This machine requires 2 separate circuits in order to operate properly. So again, if you see under 110, I would try different circuits. To go over the machine's panel board, the green button, again, is just a indication of power. If the machine's transformer is to trip, or if there's any issues with a spike in power, the transformer will then throw the green light off. So keep that in mind. The red stop button is the emergency stop. If something were to fall inside of the hopper, hit the e-stop. If this is compressed, the light will be on, and if the light is on, the machine will not function with this remote switch. So in order to get the remote switch to function properly, make sure the red light is pulled out and make sure the green light is illuminated green. Going down from there, the machine does have an override switch. If the installer does not want to use the remote switch, if he's doing an attic, an open blow, wants to keep it simple, if someone is loading the machine and the 2 installers have walkie-talkies, they could operate the machine with the override switch. With the override switch, also, it does override many components of the panel board. So if the remote switch is broken, damaged, or just not working properly, you can use the override switch. If some of these components were to fail, the override switch can operate the machine. I wouldn't say it's ideal at all to use when dense packing, but again, for an open blow, it can be used just fine. Going down from there, this is your blower knob, or your blower control knob. Obviously, turning it up is more air, and I'm going to demonstrate that. So turn the machine down at 12 o'clock on this dial. At 0 is no air, and as you turn it up, you get more air. Now, when it comes to setting this machine up to either open blow or dense pack, you're going to go over here to your material meter. So to go over the machine settings, the open blow when you're doing an attic should be pretty simple. Always start with max air on the blower knob. And when you're doing the attic, the 15th to the 13th hole are great recommendations. If you're going up higher than 10 feet of vertical rise, you might want to decrease from the 15th hole down to the 13th, potentially even lower. If you are going further than 150 feet of hose, you also want to decrease the material that you're letting into the line of hose. When you're doing your standard stuff, again at 10 feet or 150 feet in length, opening it up to the 15th hole, perfect way to do this with max air. The only time I recommend decreasing the air is if the conditions in the attic are either too dusty, or if it's just not hospitable to be standing in a way, so you could just decrease the air a little bit. Also, if you decrease the length of hose, you could go and open this material gate beyond the last hole. I don't typically recommend that. The longer you keep the material in the machine, the better it gets refined, the better the coverage is going to be with either fiberglass and cellulose. But again, if you do maybe a shorter length of hose, that's when you can open this up beyond the recommended 15th hole. Now when it comes to a dense pack application, there's a little bit more variableness there. I still recommend starting with max air so you don't clog. I recommend starting probably more conservatively at the 3rd hole. If your diameter dense pack tube is on the smaller side, like 1 inch or 1.25 inches, certainly make sure the air is at max and make sure you start around the 3rd hole. If you increase the size diameter of your dense pack tube, that's when I recommend, especially if you have the technique and the skill and the training, you can open it up beyond the 3rd hole. If you're doing a new construction application with some bibbed walls, the 5th hole or even beyond with max air, great way to do this. So again, I'm Rich with Accu1 Direct. If you have any questions on any of the information that I went over, please give us a call. Thank you.